was shivering inside. I was shivering inside.
Hey, it's Nate, and today I am doing Jealous Guy by John Lennon. What can I say about this one? It is one of my very favorites, and I have gotten countless requests for it. And it's special to me. It's actually one of the first songs I ever learned to play and sing on piano when I was a kid. That was, of course, a stripped-down version of it. You see, on one hand, the chords are pretty simple to learn, but what you hear on the record is an absolute masterclass on chord embellishment from Nicky Hopkins. Seriously, in the last few weeks of deeply studying Nicky's part in preparation for this video, I have become a better player as I've absorbed some of his tricks. So this song can be played at anywhere from a beginner to an advanced level, and this video will touch on everything. I'm going to teach it in 3 levels. Level 1 will be the chords and a simple rhythm, which is great to jump in and just start playing and singing it. It sounds good. In level 2, I'm going to bring in some of the quintessential hooks and embellishments that you hear throughout. Then in level 3, I'll go into the full detail of what Nicky is playing, including variations between verses. I will say, Nicky Hopkins didn't sing this. If you're going to be playing and singing at the same time, you'll likely want to do level 1, 2, or a mix of both of them. But I couldn't help myself from learning and showing you the full part as well because it's just awesome. No matter your level, I hope you enjoy this one. Let's jump in. Alright, so first off, I recommend you get the chords and lyrics chart. There's a link down in the description, and that's going to help you follow along and see where the chords line up with the lyrics. And this song is in the key of G major, so all white keys, but with Fs being sharped, and there are just a couple of chords that break out of that a bit. So let's start with level 1. Here are the chords, and we skipped the intro, but the first 2 lines here are the same as what the intro is, so killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So we're going to start here with a G major chord. G, B, D. This is middle C here, so you get the octave, and then an octave lower, I'm going to be doing single bass notes. And we're in 4/4 time, so each of these measures gets 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of a fast tempo here. Then we're going to move to E minor. So we can keep our first finger on that G and do G, B, and E. It's an inversion there, and I'm using my 3rd finger on an E bass note here. Then we're going to move to D. I'm going to use my 4th finger for the bass note D there. And once again, it's an inversion, A, D, and F sharp. And it's going to stay on that D for 2 measures. Next up, we have 2 more measures of D, so our left hand can stay the same, but it is a D7, D dominant 7. The note we need to make it a D dominant 7 is a C with our 2nd finger. But since we're already doing the D down here, we don't need to hear it again here. So we may just voice like that. A, C, and F sharp. And then finally, that is for 2 measures, we go back to E minor here for 2 measures. Let's add a little rhythm to the right hand. I'm going to play half notes, so each hit gets 2 counts, or you can just think hit on count 1 and 3 of each measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. That's just looping it on the G chord. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the whole 2 lines would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And like I said, what I just played is the intro. But if we are in the verse here, next up we've got this E minor 6. So here's the first time it steps outside the key. This C sharp is not in the key of G, but we've got a G, B, E, and then we're adding this C sharp with the 3rd finger. Bass note can stay on the E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Just some nice tension there. D, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to E minor. 3, 4, 1. Okay, so here we've got our first C. We're going to come down with our 5th finger down low on this C, and we're doing G, C, and E. That's going to be for 2 measures. And a couple of optional details here in the last line. So on the recording, when we hear the electric bass as well, once it's in, which doesn't count the first verse, but all other verses, we hear it go like this. Just a walking down E minor over D on the way to C. That would happen in the second half of the second measure of E minor. So just on count 3 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So you can add that in before the bass comes in on the first verse. You don't hear it at all though. Also, I know this is level 1, but why not? It's just so cool, and it's really not that tricky. What he's doing here is just playing root position Cs and then moving them up an octave. So you have this inversion, and then you're going to go up to a root position C, C, E, G on middle C, and then up an octave higher than that, C, E, G. Again, rhythm's a little tricky. We do need to think in eighth notes. So instead of just thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, we're thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the rhythm here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4. Sounds so cool. It's really fun. I'll do a full playthrough of the verse at the end of the level 1 section, but first let's look at the chorus. Here are the chords for that. So we can keep doing that same playing pattern in the right hand, and it starts on G, G, B, D, same as we were doing before. 1, 2, 3, 4, now F6. So we're stepping down to like a root position F major chord, F, A, C, with the F bass note here with the second finger, but we're keeping our fifth finger on the D for that F6. Really nice sound. And then C add 9, we're gonna keep our finger on the D again and just move these two fingers down to E and G as we go down to a C bass note. Really nice sounding chord. So again, these first few measures here are now we've got C over D. I'm going to jump up to that root position C chord here, C, E, G, with the left hand playing a D because it's C slash D. D is in the bass. So one more time. Okay, next line starts the same way. That's the chord right there, the B flat. So again, stepping outside of that key of G for just a really anthemic, satisfying sounding B flat chord. We're doing an inversion here. I'm just gonna move my first finger up here to the B flat bass note. We got F, B flat, and D. And notice we've got a full measure of that, and then 2 counts or 1 hit, given our rhythm, and then B flat over A there. You can use whatever finger you want to walk back down there before we get back down to the G. So again, that second line would be okay, going into the next line. So this is interesting here. We've got another G chord. This time I am going to play it inverted. That's going to be B, D, and G. You could totally stay on the G here. This is going to help translate to the more fancy parts we do in the other levels by doing these inversions here. So I'm going to do this inversion, and then we've got G over F sharp here. So all that happens is you're going to step down to the F sharp in the left hand while hitting this G again. Now we're going to jump up to this root position E minor chord, E, G, and B. And that's for 1 measure. And again, just third finger there for the left hand. Now here's an interesting moment. So G7 over D is how we'll call this chord. Stepping down to D there for the bass note, of course, and we're gonna do D, F, and B in the right hand. Let's just finish it up here, coming down to C, the root position, C, E, G, and then back to G. And it stays on that G for 2 measures before looping around to another verse. Let's slowly play through that chorus one more time, because there's quite a bit going on with the chords. All right, so a couple final optional details here. One would be to add a little extra rhythm in the left hand, namely playing on counts 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I'm just looping it on G. And you could even, for when it stays on a chord for multiple measures in a row, 2, 3, 4, you could not hit the 1. So play around with that. Definitely adds more of a groove to it. So I'm going to be doing that for the playthrough of the level 1 version. Finally, let's talk a little more about the intro. Here's the chorus to that. Like I said, it's just the first 2 lines of the verse. But a couple of easy things you can add that will make it sound more like that awesome piano intro. One is just doing this little flourish when you hit the G, where you hit your second finger on A and then just move it to the B. Sounds really good. Did a little passing tone on F sharp there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So notice I'm doing that rhythm stuff in the left hand. So just added a little melody there on beats 3, 4 of the measure with the D7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just using 5th finger, 4th finger, and then just jumping down to the E minor. All that goes a long way to make it feel like the intro. All right, so now I will do a playthrough of the intro, first verse, and first chorus using this level 1 approach. Then we'd be going to the next verse. I was feeling insecure. And there's nothing new, really. It's just verse, chorus, then instrumental whistling verse, then another chorus, verse, chorus. That's the whole song. The end of the song, the only thing to talk about is that there's sort of an outro where it just goes around on a C to G a few extra times. That's going to be the watch out, I'm just a jealous guy, look out babe, I'm just a jealous guy. And then ending on that G. All right, so let's take a look at level 2 and a couple things to mention. If you wish, you can primarily play level 1 and then just pick and choose some of the tricks in level 2 that you find most easy or most exciting. I'm also going to be playing up an octave higher starting here. This is the register that Nikki plays in on the recording. Now, the recording also has the acoustic guitar and bass. So for the really simple chord version, just singing along in level 1, I opted to go an octave lower, just so it sounds a little bit more full. But once we start adding all the decorations, it does sound cleaner and nicer in the higher register. By far the most difficult thing I'm going to show you in level 2 is the intro, and it's going to sound like this. So that is the full right-hand piano part that Nikki plays. We're just simplifying the left. But before we go into the exact notes for that, let's just look at the overall structure because we're going to be doing fifths in the left hand. So just want you to learn that here. So here's the intro chords. We've got G, and I'm just doing G fifths, G and D. And then for the E minor, I'm doing E fifths down here. Even though we're doing the inversion here, where it's going to be E and B here. Same thing for this D, we're going to do D and A. And then for the D7, D and A again. And then E and B for that. But here are all the notes for this right hand part. Now, there's going to be a lot of this fill here, both in the intro and throughout the whole song. This is a really common fill that Nikki places all over the place. And it looks like this. So if you take the underlying chord, the G chord, we're going to hit the second of that with our second finger. So it's going to be A while we hit the fifth on top. And then we resolve it to the third with the third finger on B. And then we drop in the root of the chord. And notice that once you hit that top D, it just holds. And once you hit the middle B, that holds when we bring in the root. And the timing there is 1 and 2. Okay, so it happens pretty fast. And then it just does the same thing again on 3 and 4, and it just adds an A with the second finger on the and after 4 as well. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and now it's going to do the same thing again, except we need to stretch our fifth finger up to the E. Because now the underlying chord is this E minor, but we're still going to riff off the A. And that's 1 and 2. Okay, I'm going to bring in the left hand fifths for some context. So what we've got so far is... So you just got to move down when we get to the second measure. Okay, so this is the first of many instances where he does these beautiful runs of sixths, which is a really harmonious interval. We've got G6, which is going to be G and E. Then we've got A and F sharp, B and G. Now, if you can make the stretch, the best way to do this is 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 1 and 5, so you're not just hopping your hand, but do what you got to do. And that's going to be on 3 and 4. Nothing on and. 3 and 4 and now this next measure you can think of as we're just doing the D major chord that we were doing before, but we're breaking it up, doing the top two notes and then the bottom note. And 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. So far we've got... Okay, this next measure is awesome. I'm just going to hold the left hand. I'm not going to actually strike it again. We've got this run. We're essentially moving up in sixths again, but we're adding these little anticipatory notes. So we got E, F, D. I'm using 1, 2, 5. And now we come back down to the F sharp, G, E. Notice I crossed my first finger under for that G. So we got E, F sharp, D, F sharp, G, E, back down to G, and then A. Okay. And then, of course, you hear that F sharp. That's going to be the beginning of the next measure. Just notice we're playing on every eighth note here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, one more time on this line, then we can look at the next line. So this F sharp is the start of the next line. Here is the next line here. And we're going to start by just skipping down this D chord. F sharp, D, A. That's going to be on every count. 1, 2, 3. Now we have our next moment of 6. We've got the A and F sharp, B and G, A, or C and A. Once again, I'm going to use 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 1 and 5. And that is on 4 and 1. Now this little A here, I think at this level, level 2, I would say that's really optional. It's a little tricky to hop down there, but it is there in his piano part. And then we have one more moment of 6. This time they're kind of broken apart like that. But we've got B and D, and it's going to be B, D, A, C, and then landing on G there. That's going to be on 3 and 4 and 1. Let's do this line so far. So this is where we land on the underlying chord is an E minor, so we're doing the E fifths. And so then we've got G, E, G. So a big leap there between the E and the G. G, E, G, B, G. So just a little BG at the end fast. So these were quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, but then 4 and. Okay, then to finish this off, we've got one more of those fills with the E on top. Just on 1 and 2, and then finally this sweet melody here. Love that. F sharp, E, B, G. I'm just using 5, 4, 2, 1 on every eighth note there. 3 and 4 and. Okay, I'm going to do a slow playthrough of this whole part, but first I just want to show you these three optional extra notes we can do in the left hand beyond just the fifths. You take it or leave it, but we have this F sharp walk down on count 4 of the first measure. It happens with the G there. And if you want to get fancy, you could do 1 and 3 for the first fifths. Then you have your fourth finger there. But however you like. And then we've got this B at the end of this measure that I really like. Just on the last eighth note. 3 and 4 and 1. I think that B does a lot of work there. And then finally, just at the very end, last measure, you can do a little F sharp on count 4 leading into the verse. So that would coincide with the B of that melody. And of course, then we would land in G to start the verse. So here's what we got. All right, and then we are in the verse. So here are the chords for the verse, and we can take some of the ideas from that intro now that we know them. And just for the first verse, before the electric bass comes in on the recording, I'm going to keep doing those left-hand fifths. So right off the bat, you can throw in those fills on the G's or even the E minor if you like. Maybe not there. And then just gonna hang out on the D. The rhythm I'm doing in the left is kind of like what we were doing in level 1. You can just hit on 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, or you could just do the top note on beat 4. So going into the D7, there's this really nice move there. So to do that, we're just going to take the top notes, which are 6, step them up to the B and G6, but keep that middle note. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So we can take the bit, and if it's easier to play and sing, you can just do the 6 on 3, 4, And then when we land on this first of the two E minors here, we're just gonna do this inversion. That's a new inversion, but it flows really nice like that. B, E, and G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got two measures of E minor here. One, we're gonna do the higher inversion. One, we're gonna do the lower inversion. So here's what we got so far. So coming into the E6, there's a nice little melody stepping up B, C, C sharp. And from the last measure of E minor before that, the timing is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. And you could do the whole chord harmony on it, or just 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4. He does that a lot. So it's the same move we were doing before, pivoting with the 6 stepping up with our third finger staying on the D. And the timing there is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And coming up to this E minor here, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3. So just like I showed you in level 1, when you're on that E minor before the C, you could totally throw in one of those fills. Okay, let's look at the chorus for level 2. Here's the chords for that. So at the beginning of the first chorus, that's when the bass comes in, and that's when I'm going to start doing octaves in my left hand. And you could do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the rhythm, or you could add a little bit more if you like. And one thing you can do is a little bit of this rocking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And come to think of it, you can do that in the verse as well, in between the fill moments whenever you're just on a chord like the D. Just, you can kind of default to that feel. So we can add a little rhythm to this cool turnaround moment with the C over D. 1, 2, 3, and. Again, 1, 2 in the right, 3 maybe just on the top note of the left, and then and in the right. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Woof. So we can, we'll do this B flat like that, but then right after that, 1, 2, hop up to a root position, B flat, D, and F, but just doing these fills over and over again. So with the second finger on the C. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2, 3, and 4. Now this last bit is really cool. So this is, remember, this is where we land in the higher inversion of the G. So, we're just going to step up in 6 here for 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then notice you've ended up on D and B there, which is what we need for an inversion of G, for the G over F sharp. D, G, and B. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's a little melody here on B, A, B. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then before we get to this E minor, which I showed you in level 1, we're actually going to go all the way up to this higher inversion, G, B, and E. I'm going to strum it. Sounds kind of nice. 1, 2, 3, and 4. coming down to this E minor chord. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this measure, we're actually going to stay on the E minor for a sec before doing this cool move here. So this was what I showed you for the G7 over D, but we're going to hit it and then pivot the top two notes, or the outside notes, down in 6. The D and the B become C and A. Notice that that becomes an inversion of an F major chord. So the timing of this measure: 1, 2, 3, and 4. A little bit more going on than the chord chart can tell you there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Actually going to come up here, and if you, on this C, if you want to throw in a little fill, and then when you land on G, you could do a fill as well. And then the final thing is we have this really cool riff leading into the next verse. Now, this is super similar to this riff that we did in the intro, but the sixths we're climbing up on are these. So we're going to start with this A to lead in to the sixth interval here with B and G. Then we're just going to do the same thing, but from B. B stepping up to C, and then a sixth higher is A. And then we're going to finally do C, D, B. Now, this last sixth here, this is also the beat where the next verse starts. And this is the outside notes of a G chord, this particular inversion that we did a little bit earlier. So that's D, G, and B. So I'm just going to land on that to start the next verse. And the timing of this is starting in the last measure of G there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 is starting the next verse. Now, of course, that means that we are starting this next verse on a high inversion of G instead of where we started the other verse. So we're just going to strike that high G inversion there on the first count and then just bring it back down. So starting on this second verse, I'm going to be doing octaves in the left hand. All right, let me do a playthrough of the intro and then the first verse and chorus using this level 2 approach. Began to lose control. I began to lose control. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry that just a jealous guy. I was feeling. So that's going on to the next verse. Notice I am doing the octaves now. By the way, all these tricks, these inversions and fills that Nicky Hopkins is doing throughout, that is the focus of my course, Piano Chord Breakthroughs. Piano Chord Breakthroughs gives you a step-by-step roadmap to get these tricks into your muscle memory to be able to unleash them while you play and embellish your chord progressions on the fly. Okay. Time for level 3. We'll start out with the intro, and the good news is the right hand is going to be the exact same as what we did in level 2, but the left hand, especially as it goes on, is quite a bit more complicated, but it sounds awesome if you learn it slowly, take your time with it. You can get it down with muscle memory. Here's what it's going to sound like. So here are the notes. Like I said, the right hand is the same. So let's focus on the left. Now, the left hand for the first measure or two is the same as what we did in level 2 as well. So we've got the G fifths, 2, 3, stepping down on beat 4 here. Actually, I'm going to do 1 and 3 for that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the only new thing we added there. It's just an extra A on beat 4. And notice that's going to coincide with the right hand hitting the A there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So here, we're going to need to kind of switch our hand and make sure our second finger is going to be the one ready to play the A here. But this measure is really cool. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and. And that's going to coincide. The best way to anchor this is to think that the G in the A is what lines up there. And then those last two eighth notes, the 4 and, just hit together. And then here, we're going to land with the D and the high F sharp. And again, in this measure, we've got D, 2, A on beat 3, and then this is really cool, and we're going to use this in a few places in the verse as well. It's tough though. So C, C sharp, D. Rhythmically here, you can just think of it as it's D on count 1 of the next measure, and those are just grace notes. I know it looks like it starts earlier than it does, but I had to cram those letters in. So just practice that motion. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. So just starting from that D that we land on. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Before resetting to the E on 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1. And timing between the hands here, the A's coincide there, and then we've got the. So the grace notes are going to happen into the C and A sixths here. And then remember, we had this little moment where the right hand goes down to that A. That right hand A happens first, followed by the left hand A. And this last part's not quite as tricky. We've got E, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3. So after this E, we're just going back and forth between this B and this higher E. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3. And then finally just a little 4 on the F sharp to walk up and get ready for the verse. So they connect there on the G and B. And then these two connect completely. And then we've got the. So again, G, B, E with the F sharp there. And those connect with the F sharp and the B. I'm going to play through that whole thing left hand only. And I really want to stress the only way to get this part is to really work on each hand separate until you really have that muscle memory before you put them together. This took me a while. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1. And one more time, hands together, nice and slow. All right, I'm now going to take you through verse by verse using all the little details and fills that you hear him do on the record. And I just want to say I don't think it's super important if you're covering this song to get everything exactly, all the variations in the right places in the different verses, but it's interesting to go through and see all the different stuff he does, and then you can pick and choose the fills you like best and make your own arrangement. But for the first verse, it's going to be a lot like the intro. I did climb down on the F sharp on the and after 4 though. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2. And we're not going to do the da 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 da. We can just kind of hang out on that E minor, doing some fills if we like. And then we've got, instead of the, we're just going to do, just hang out on this D, but then we've got this really cool. So that's using the little grace note thing. So the right hand rhythm is going to be 1, 2, 3, and. So it happens on the and after 3 before we're about to land in the D7. And the grace notes happen on count 3 there. 3 and 4 and. You can do that extra little bass line before coming back down to the D. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3. We can do the. So for the left hand throughout this section, you can keep it as simple as you want. He's just doing different rhythms on the root, fifth, and octave. I'm just going to kind of feel it out, but do what feels natural to you. So after the, we're going to come down just like we did in level 2. You can just do some fills there. So for this E minor shape, the fill would be on the D. And then for this inversion of it, you can do it on the G. I really like the left hand thing he does there on the E minor 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last thing I'll say about this is on this verse and every verse, he does this variation on the E minor 6 where he inverts it up and he reaches up to this higher G. So with a simpler left hand, it looks something like this. But he does it different every time. You can do an arpeggio like that. The key is hitting that high G on 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's so cool. So this is the only time this fill happens, but I love it. You've got these 2 measures of D here. For the first one, we're going to be in this inversion, but then for the second one, we're going to come down here to F sharp, A, and D, and do this. So you're going to want to cross your second finger over to this F sharp to do this, and we're just going back and forth, harmonizing. The left hand's going to do A, B, A, B. Right hand's going to do F sharp, G, F sharp, G. And that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. So this is the only verse where this melody happens before this C chord, but it's the same melody we did at the end of the intro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and I like that little bass line there. Da da da. Okay, I'm going to play that first verse through, but again, I want to stress that for the most part, I'm not paying a lot of attention to the exact rhythms and patterns I'm doing on the root, fifth, and octave in the left hand. You can just feel it out. so let's look at that first chorus. This will be a little bit easier. It's actually pretty close to the level 2 version. So the only difference here is that we're going to do a little bit of extra stuff on the... So 1, 2, and 3, and 4. I'm doing it off A here. It's funny because pretty much everywhere else in the song he does the same thing but with G. They both sound good. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. You can think wop, ba, ba, loo, bop. I'm sorry that I made you cry. I'm gonna do that the exact same way we did in level 2. Okay, so there's a really cool fill there. So that's just the typical fill on the C, 1 and 2, but we're gonna come down to do this fill, and this is also a fill on a C. It's an inversion of a C using the 6th of the C chord to fill on. But we're gonna need 16th notes here. 3, E, and 4. 1 and 2, 3, E, and 4. And then you can do a little fill when you land on the G as well. And then the left hand does one of those little chromatic grace note moments on the F, F sharp, G. So we're gonna do that same. But I would just like to add in that D. The piano doesn't do it, but the bass does on the recording. It's really nice for the turnaround into the next verse. On counts 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And that would be starting the next verse. I again want to stress to be loose and instinctive with the left hand rhythm, but I want to point out something that I'm landing on a lot, which is playing on the and after 2 with the top note of the octaves, as well as beat 4, like we've been doing a lot before. So like 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. You could just practice it on a G to get the hang of it. So that's what my left hand's gonna be doing for a lot of the time we're on these octaves throughout. All right, so verse 2 starts with one of my favorite riffs in the whole song. It sounds like this. Oof, it is so good. So we landed in this higher end version of G, and then that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're coming down to this lower end version of G and just riffing off of the 2 notes there with D, and then stepping into E, and then hitting the B. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the octaves move to the E, and we're gonna do the same thing again, except we're landing on a G instead of the B. That little variation is so nice. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2. And now this part's really cool. So that's using the 16th notes. 3, E, and 4. Then we land in the D. One more time. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. This time it does that. So that's all very similar to the intro. On this particular one, on beat 3 before the E minor, it does the grace notes. So this is gonna happen throughout the next few verses. Overall, doing the octaves now in the left hand and being lower makes things a little bit easier. But when we have some of these grace note moments, we're gonna leap up still to the same octave for the, and then you can just hit a low D octave and then kind of just jump down and get back to where you were. So again, from that. So this is gonna be the same, but maybe you can just kind of do slightly different arpeggios and riffs there. That's what he does. So this is gonna happen a fair amount of times as well. So we've got the, also notice that when I start adding in these grace notes in the left hand, I'm also doing a little strum in the right. Just adds to that bring effect that he does. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. This next part's a little new as well. So after the we're going to come up to this higher inversion of the E minor and then do this little riff here. So the first time around we just did the leading into this C, but this new riff I'm showing you right now is going to be what we do basically for the rest of the song. So that's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1. Or you could do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. You can hit on the and after 4, but we're doing like the E minor one and then the G one. So just like we did it before, now going into that chorus. You can just throw in some of those. So this time we're gonna do that same wop baba loo bop rhythm, but I'm gonna do it off G, and I'm just gonna start adding in the left-hand bass line, da 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 da, which Nikki does not play, but the bass does on the recording, and it's a nice hook, so I like hearing it there. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and just on E G E. Sorry there. That's a really cool riff on B flat. So instead of the, this time he does 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So we're thinking this inversion of B flat, D, F, and B flat up there, but you're doing like a sus2 fill, like off the C, then hitting it, and then doing a fill using the 6th of the B flat chord. Something like that. And the timing there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You can do the walk down too. Same thing here. So that's all the same. Going into the third verse, which is the whistling verse, the final 2 times he has a turnaround into another verse. Instead of doing, it's just, it's a little bit simpler. It's a nice variation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I still like adding that D there. Okay, now we're in the third verse. He does something really similar. I'm just gonna do that same riff again. He might just switch up the rhythm slightly there. Love that. 1 and 2, just on E, F sharp, D. Does that. It's a little simpler here. I'm not going to do the, just going to hang out on that. So just another one of these moments is just kind of riffing around the same stuff we've been doing, but you can make it a little more melodic. And then it's going to do this thing again. But this time, I'm going to climb up instead of, you can do, okay? Same thing there. Love that. So this is the one time in the song where instead of, he does, goes up way high. So 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of hitting there, you just jump right there. That's where the difference is. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3. 4, and... Okay, cool. Now we're in that chorus after the whistling section. He actually keeps it really simple here with no riffs. You can throw in some of that if you want. So this is different. The last two choruses are gonna do this part, but rather than go down to the E minor here, I'm gonna do this for the G7 over D. So we had been doing, but he does it up higher and does this bluesy slide off the B flat there, or the A sharp. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and just harmonizing with that D, with A, G, E. Okay, now this is a doozy. This is like the craziest fill in the song. So we've got 2 of those 16th note fills in a row. So this is gonna happen these last 2 times when we've done the bluesy thing and our hands up a little higher. So this is a C fill, but using that A. Using those 16th notes. 1 E and 2 E and a 3 and then 4 and 1 and, like that. Something like that. Okay, for this final verse, he just does a mishmash of everything. I would just say take the pieces you like the most and just play around with them. It's one of those. So here I don't want to be too specific at this point. The one difference that I want to point out is in the chorus this last time around, he does this really cool thing. It's subtle. Coming off the B flat. Just a little chromatic walk down. So let's just add that, because I think that's nice when you get to the E minor. He comes down to root position and goes back and forth with 2 and 4 on F sharp and A. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then he does the... Okay, so now, and that was exactly what I did in the previous verse. Now we've got those final couple... For I'm just a jealous guy, when it repeats around a few times. So it's really similar to what we just did with the 16th note riff on the C chord here. But instead of this G position, we're doing this C position. So stepping back up. One last time. And then to end the song, just octaves on G's like that. And then the song is over. Okay, thank you for watching. Wow, that was a doozy. I am now going to do a full playthrough of the level 3 version. And I want to say again, I couldn't help myself from learning all those advanced details because they're so cool, and I know I went a bit fast on some of it. Slowing down the playback speed can be a huge help for figuring out a particular riff I do. But look, this part is much more advanced than what I typically do on this channel, and I think level 1 and level 2 will be a great way to go for many folks. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Also, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do that and click the bell so you know when I put out more videos like this one. All right, here's my version of Jealous Guy.
I was dreaming of the past, and my heart was beating fast. I began to lose control. I began to lose to jealousy.